This is lesson number 2 in Unit 2, Polynomials, and today we're going to be looking at the second rule of exponents, which is power of a power. So we're still going to be on exponents. Let's take a, I'm going to call this rule number 2, and it's going to be power of a power. Let's let it focus a little bit. So this rule states when you have an exponent raised to an exponent, multiply the exponents. In the previous lesson, we looked at when we're multiplying by the same base, you add the exponents. But here, this lesson's going to be on when you have an exponent raised to an exponent, you are going to be multiplying the exponents. Let's just make sure you guys can see that. So now we're just going to go through several examples. Let's take a look at number 1. The directions will say simplify. So number 1, we have x cubed raised to the second power. So we're going to start off pretty simple and then we'll get into more complex problems. So I've got x cubed raised to the second power. All I'm going to do is take those exponents and multiply them. So that's 3 times 2. That's giving us x to the 6th. Pretty straightforward. Let's take a look at number 2. It doesn't matter if there's a number or a variable. The procedure is still the same. I've got 2 to the 4th raised to the 3rd power. So we're going to keep that base and multiply those exponents. So I've got 2 to the 12th. Now in math, you should never be leaving a number with an exponent. You have to actually evaluate that. So in your calculator, you would do 2 to the 12th. Now if you don't have a power key on your calculator, you're going to have to do 2 times 2, 12 times. It's a little tedious, but if you've got that power key, then use it. 2 to the 12th, that's going to give us 4,096. 4,096. Let's take a look at number 3. Now number 3 is going to have 2 variables. I've got x to the 4th y raised to the second power. Now inside of the parentheses, I'm going to make sure everything has an exponent. So that x has an exponent of 4, but that y doesn't have an exponent. It really does, you just don't see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a 1 here. Now I'm going to take that exponent that's on the outside and I'm going to multiply it to each exponent on the inside. So this becomes x to the 4 times 2 and then y to the 1 times 2. So all I'm doing is I'm taking that exponent that's on the outside and multiplying it to each exponent on the inside. So I've got x to the 8th, y squared. Now let's take a look at when I've got a problem, I've got numbers and variables. So number 4 is -2 a squared b raised to the 3rd power. I am looking to make sure everything on the inside has an exponent. Well, if I take a look, the -2 doesn't have an exponent and the b doesn't have an exponent. So I'm going to put those 1s. I'm going to put a 1 here and a 1 here. Now I'm going to take that exponent that's on the outside and multiply to each exponent on the inside. So this becomes -2. I'm going to stop writing this piece. I'm just going to do the multiplication. So 2 times 1, that's giving us 3. 3 times 2, that's giving us 6. 3 times 1, that's giving us 3. So I've got -2 to the 3rd power, a to the 6th power, and b cubed. This is not my final answer because you can never leave a number with an exponent. That's just like number 2. I could not leave my answer with 2 to the 12th. I have to actually evaluate that. So if I do -2 to the 3rd power, it's not -6. It's -2 times -2 times -2, which gives us -8. And again, you can put that into your calculator, use the power key for that. So I've got -8 a to the 6th b cubed. Number 5. We have 2x raised to the 2nd power times 3xy squared. So these last couple of problems that I'm going to do, there's going to be a little bit more work. We have 2 parentheses. What you are looking for is the parentheses that has the exponent on the outside. So here's my exponent. This goes to this parentheses. I don't have it. There really is an exponent. It's a 1, but it's not really going to do us any good. Even if I multiply the exponents, it's going to give us exactly what we started out with. So I'm going to focus on that first parentheses that has an exponent on the outside. I'm making sure they have exponents. I'm going to put some 1s. Now I'm going to take that exponent that's on the outside and I'm going to multiply to the exponents that's on the inside. That has to be your first step. So this becomes 2 squared. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 1, that's giving us x squared. Now I'm going to put a multiplication dot. You can keep it in parentheses if you want. I'm deciding not to. It's completely up to you. If you don't have the multiplication dot, you have to have the parentheses. Otherwise, it looks like one big expression. All right. Before I do any multiplying of those coefficients, these numbers, I have to actually do this 2 squared. So this 2 squared is going to give us 4. And then I'm just going to rewrite everything else. Make sure you can see that. Now I'm going to multiply those numbers out in front. That's going to give me 12. This is a square here. I've got 2 x's here, 1 x here. That's giving us 3. We may want to put the word multiply just so you know. And then I've got this y squared that I'm just going to put at the end here. So 12, 4 times 3 is 12, 2 plus 1 is 3, and then I've got the y squared. So 12x cubed y squared. We're going to go over one final problem. Let's take a look at number 6. We have 4ab to the 4th times 2a cubed b raised to the 2nd power. So for this problem, I still have 2 parentheses, but the exponent that's on the outside is on the 2nd parentheses. So that's where I'm going to begin. So that first parentheses I'm just going to bring down. I've got 4ab to the 4th. Now I'm going to take what's inside of the 2nd parentheses. I'm going to put, if it doesn't have an exponent, I'm going to put a 1. Now I'm going to take this exponent and multiply. So this is times. 2 times 1 is 2. So that's giving us 2 squared. 3 times 2, that's giving us 6. And 1 times 2, that's giving us 2. All right, from here, before I multiply, I've got to clean up this 2 squared here. So again, I'm just going to rewrite 4ab to the 4th. This is 4a to the 6th, b squared. Now I can take those numbers that are out in front and multiply them. So 4 times 4, that's good. I mean, I'll put multiply just so you know. That's giving us 16. And then I've got an a times a to the 6th. I'm going to add those up. That's giving us a to the 7th. I've got 4 b's here, 2 b's here. That's giving us b to the 6th. So that's 16, a to the 7th, b to the 6th. And that's rule number 2 of monomial's power of a power.